It's making sure that people who are struggling have got dignity.
In other cultures, you look after your elderly. You shouldn't have to depend on food banks.
I was homeless.
No support.
Food around here is just like fast junk food.
So over the last 3 years, I'd say the biggest impact, there's been a few of them, but last year there was a twin cyclone that hit Vanuatu. It caused real food insecurities for people, and we set up a free lunch program in our nutrition centre for 2 months after the cyclone. Following that, this year we've been running a program to run malnutrition screening for children under 5 in communities. So this is a program which One Small Bag Nutrition Centre is running with the support of UNICEF and then through World Vision.
Mi cegam weight plokata, mi cegam height plokata, mi usum wana wakte plo mi cegam wak plokata.
Oklumi mendi mi work with them one tool releasing them anthropometric anthropometrica mi one tool we mi calculate them growth lo one beginning start lo 6 months kasem lo 5 years after by tuliana by mi talem lo mi se aita beginning mi stalo one good fala status.
So the program that we're running, we're trying to do really in-depth surveys as well to find out what access people have to food, and if there's gaps, like is it gaps with vegetables or fruit and vegetables, or gaps with proteins, so that we can gauge what the access issues are against the wasting and stunting that's happening in communities. The population is growing so fast, and access to health care isn't very easy. There's very big issues with access to protein as pricing increases are happening in town. So finding another way that people can access maybe a vegetable protein, I think is really, really important going forward.
Mwana wangu ndakamushara panguva iyoyo hapana akaziva kuti mwana ane cleft palate. Manesi ndobva uye achitendi yamwise mwana, ndobva mwana achitadza kubata zamu. Manesi akatonipopotera akati muri kutadza kuyamwisa mwana, ndobva ndangopiwa mwana wangu, ndobva ndaenda naye kukangaroo.
Patients with cleft lip and palate, they are usually malnourished because from birth it is difficult for them to maintain like a proper seal. We do malnutrition clinics each and every Wednesday. Mothers get an opportunity to meet and share their challenges, because sometimes if I tell a mother, please do this, she'll think it's not possible. But if she hears it from another mom, yeah, it helps more.
But nutritional program yatibatsira zvakanyanya kuti vana vedu vakutokwanisa kugainawo ma-kgs.
Bueno, no ha sido muy buena, porque la vida ha aumentado mucho, las cosas están muy caras, aunque se produzcan en este país, y el recurso está muy débil. Por lo general aquí la canasta familiar está alrededor de unos 40 o 45 mil pesos al mes, y por lo general uno lo que produce aquí es entre 12 y 15 mil pesos sueldo mínimo, y los que ganan un poquito más de ahí, a lo que se considera un sueldo regular, está entre 20, 25, si acaso 30. O sea que el sueldo no alcanza para la canasta familiar. Bueno, cambio positivo, se puede decir que la ciudadanía está más tranquila. pero el reto, sí, hay reto, porque uno vivir continuamente luchando por subsistir es un reto. ¿Cómo decirte? Los cambios hay que aceptarlos, porque casi siempre las cosas cambian, casi siempre para bien. Y los retos uno tiene que superarlos, porque retos vamos a tener continuamente en la vida. Hay que tratar de superar los retos, hacer de los retos difíciles más llevaderos y aceptar los cambios que vienen, porque siempre va a haber cambios. Apoyo, si se refiere a lo que se llama el gobierno, no. Del gobierno no, yo no trabajo, no tengo ningún apoyo del gobierno. El único apoyo que tengo hasta ahora es el de mis hijos. Y no es muy bueno porque ellos, los que trabajan ganan poco y otros no están trabajando. Pues todo el mundo quiere un cambio favorable. Me gustaría un cambio favorable. Que los hijos míos que no estén trabajando trabajen, que los que tienen unos trabajos que ganan muy poco pues puedan ganar más. Y yo empezar a trabajar, eso sería uno de los cambios que me gustaría.
My name is Comfort Daniel Madahi from Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria. My experience in feeding myself, family and community in the last few years has been quite challenging due to insecurities in northeastern states for the past 10 years. That is Boko Haram insurgency, kidnapping, banditry, cattle rustlers, Fulani harassment clashes with host community. Other challenges include unfavorable government policies like currency redesign and fuel subsidy removal, which has brought untold hardship to many Nigerians. We are currently facing high rates of inflation and unemployment struck underemployment. Positive changes so far, despite all the challenges, is self-development in terms of educational pursuits. There has not been support from anywhere whatsoever. How we have been coping is by limiting portion size or reducing the number of meals per day, eating less expensive food, borrowing food and or money, relying on relatives or friends for assistance. One thing that will make a difference for me, my family, and the community is better jobs or scholarship opportunity, better policies to improve the community livelihood and security for life and properties. I hope with that we'll be able to improve the general well-being.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. زه ناصر کابل کې اوسېږم. تېرو 3 کلونو کې خو لږ مشکلات خو ډېر وو، خو دغه یو مشکل مونږ ته لږ ډېر دغه و. زما یو ماشوم و، زوی مې و، هغه مریض و. مریضتیا پته مونږ ته نه لګېده، خو پیسې داسې شی نه و. بیا ما سره یو ملګری یا یو خپلوان هم و، هغه را سره کومک وکړو، یو ډاکټر ته یې ولېږلو. هلته هغه معاینات او دغه یې راته وکړو. چې هغه معاینات او دغه یې وکړه، هغه په باقی باندې اخته و که نه، چې وږی و. نو بیا هغه دوی یو شیان هم راته راکړه او بیا هغه لږ مرسته را سره وکړه چې دا لوبیا، وریجې او دال دا به دی راته میده کړي او بوتل یو ډبي کې یې راته واچولو او بیا به هم هغه مونږ ورته ورکوله. نو هغې سره هغه ماشوم بیا لږ ښه شو. نو زمونږ چې کار ژوند راته پیدا شي او کار وکړو، یو وظیفه راته پیدا شي، زمونږ په ژوند خپله ښه کېږي، چاته به بیا لاس نه نیسو، مرستې وشي دې خلکو سره، نو دې سره به بیا ژوند زمونږ ښه شي، کورنۍ ژوند به ښه شي، چې اوړه پیدا شي، خوراک ماشومانو ته پیدا شي، مریض غم یې وشي، نو په دې سره به زمونږ ژوند ښه شي چې کار ژوند راته پیدا شي. موږ داسې کومک هم کړی چې زه هغه کور مو په همدلته کابل کې کباړ کار هم کاوه. موږ به چې مازدیګر به کله راغلو، نو کله به هم د شلو، کله به هم د 10 روپیو دا کیلۍ به ماشوم ته واخیستې، خپلو ماشومانو ته دا به مو ورته ویوړې. نو په دغه شکل باندې هغو بیا ښه مو او دغه مرسته مو سره کړې ده او په دې شکل باندې ژوند روان کړی و ماشومانو ته. څه وس په نور نه و کار ژوند خو به دا کباړ کار به مو وکړو مازدیګر کې به چې راغلو نو هغو دپاره به موږ دغه کیلې به مو واخیستې یا د 10 یا د 10 یا د 40 دغسې اول خو باید پلار ته کار ژوند برابر شي چې هغه کو خپل ماشومان د هر سړی زیریږي چې کار ژوند او پیسه ولري نو هغه ماشوم بیا نه خرابوي خپل ماشوم او بل دا ده چې کلینیکونه جوړ شي یو مؤسسه ورته راشي د ماشوم پوښتنه وکړه د غریبو خلکو پوښتنه وکړه دا خو دغه کارونه زما د ذهن نه خلي پلار ته کار پیدا شي یو کلینیک وشي او داسې پوښتنه وشي د ماشومانو مریضانو ماشومانو خصوصا.
Cuando vivía allá en el rancho, la comida pues como no vende nadie, no hay tiendas, lo que se lleva de aquí nomás, 5 horas de que verdura y eso, y tomate, lo que se siembran allá, maíz también, huevo, pollo, carne de vez en cuando matan allá puercos, se invitan todos y se comparten. Frutas también, enlatado es lo que dura más. Allá es más caro. Aquí se alimenta uno mejor, porque allá no hay. Ahorita que no llueve no hay muchas cosas. A veces no tienen agua, a veces se les termina y no tienen agua para regar. En la escuela les daban comida, pagaban 10 pesos y ahí les preparaban en la escuela. Y sí, pues se les daban así porque es saludable, les daban bien de comer. A mí se me hacía mejor así. Allá junto con los demás niños comen mejor. También ya no gastaban en otra cosa, cochinadas.
I'm here at Cork Penny Dinners. I've been volunteering here for over 20 years and I've known about it since I was a child. Penny Dinners is here since famine times, and the sad part of life is that we're still in existence today and we have 1,600 people every day that come to eat. So we give them soup, main course, dessert, tea and coffee, and we give them a survival bag so that they have enough food for 24 hours. Now everything we hand out to people here is bought fresh by us, cooked freshly every day by our chefs, and we're very aware that if people are down on their luck, that it's up to us not just to give them any kind of food to eat, to give them good, nourishing food, and that will help them, because we always believe that if you have a problem and you've an empty belly, it's very hard to solve that problem. But when your belly is full, you can, get to grips maybe with the problem, and we feel that works. I'm privileged to work with the people I work with. We're all privileged to be of service to our fellow human beings. We're a community charity. Everybody in Cork and further afield has volunteered with us at Penny Dinners. We don't receive any government funding. We're lucky, and we've never had one fundraiser ourselves, never ever. And also, as well as feeding all the people that we do, we give hampers out every week as well to families, and we deliver to them. We deliver to community houses, to vulnerable people. If people are sick with cancer, we'll find out what food is, best serves their nutritional needs, and we'll purchase that and we'll give that to them, and we'll nurse them through their cancer. And that's very important, because we have people coming to us that had cancer, and if we weren't on hand to help them, they wouldn't have got through because they had no finances to cover and you'd be surprised. Good food can cost a lot of money. People that donate to us depend on us to reach every bit of trouble or an issue or a problem that somebody has, and we do that.
Hello there, I'm Dr. Sinead Fury, and I'm a researcher and lecturer in food policy and consumer legislation in Ulster University.
Sinead, how can we convince policymakers to invest in health and nutrition?
I think policymakers need both sides of the coin. I think we need to be looking at the headline figures, the headline indicators. We need that hard-hitting fact, so that percentage figure that says how many people are experiencing this. But that's not enough. I think we also need to win hearts and minds, and we need to understand the experts by experience, that lived experience, because this is affecting everyday people. Everyday people are citizens as well as consumers, and we are in the health and social care budget. We are spending £500 million a year fighting overweight and obesity in Northern Ireland. We're spending 10% of our health and social care budget fighting the complications of diabetes. It begs the question, does the business case not write itself? Let's be preventative here, and let's fight this with our citizens in mind.
I'm absolutely delighted to be here in Belfast in Foodstock with Councillor Paul Doherty. We're here to talk about some of the work that he's doing on promoting the right to food in Belfast. It's one of the first cities in Ireland. As you all know, I come from Ireland. I'm so proud of what he's doing here. So I want you to tell me, why are you doing this work? Just give me a reason why.
Simply, I grew up living in poverty. I seen how my parents struggled to provide food and put food on the table for me and my brothers and sister. A cycle of poverty exists here now. I grew frustrated by seeing that the people that lived around me and I went to school with are now struggling with their children. So that cycle of poverty continues to impact people right across our city here in Belfast. And where we've seen a lack of government response, we've seen a community step up, and we've seen a real movement of solidarity in the streets of West Belfast here, spreading right across the city, breaking down barriers, working as one community to tackle this poverty that exists. And we're seeing people doing extraordinary things on a daily basis. We think of Belfast as a divided community of green, of orange, but we're so much more than that. You know, we're a united community when it comes to poverty. We're one community when it comes to poverty, and we're seeing people from all backgrounds pulling together for one another. And I think that's an incredible thing to see, that real strong sort of showing of solidarity, which is getting people through a very difficult time. But while we're dealing with it practically on the ground, we need to be one voice when it comes to the Right to Food campaign. And to pushing government into action, and we're seeing that. We made Belfast the Right to Food city, and the voices are growing. So
could you give me, I know it's not a step by step, but what was the secret? So many people have been trying to move, as you know, things in Belfast. How did you do it?
There's people who inspire us daily, and people like Ian Byrne, who speaking to, and who's been driving the Right to Food message and campaign for many years. And it's through those conversations and trying to drive that here in our own city, and we did that. And people say, okay, you made Belfast the Right to Food city, what are you going to do from there? And the very next day I was knocking on people's doors and saying, we've made Belfast the Right to Food city, this is a Right to Food city, what are we going to do? And very soon after that, we were able to direct £250,000 from Belfast City Council funds towards healthy snack and breakfast clubs, which was going to remove hunger as an obstacle to children's education right across the city. So that's the Right to Food campaign in action, you know, but we need to keep going. And what we've done, we've brought that to Derry, we're bringing it to Newry, we're bringing it right across the north, and we're spreading that message and fighting every day.
We are the people, we can make a difference. Paul, thank you for all this, and thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
We're here in West Derby in Liverpool at the Fan Supporting Food Bank's weekly pantry. This initiative started off a couple of years ago. We believe it was the first and it was unique on the basis that the pantry is a mobile one and that we can drive right into the heart communities that have got food deserts. I think the thing that makes it really interesting about Fan Supporting Food Banks, based here on Merseyside, it's an initiative from football fans. It's not red and it's not blue, it's both, so it makes it fairly unique. That me as an Evertonian and Ian as a Liverpudlian, unfortunately, that's why we never speak to each other. I think it's worked really well. It's something that's grew legs over the last couple of years and is getting replicated now in other places right across the country. I think the beauty of all this is it's people working in the heart of the community. This isn't about charity, it's about solidarity. This isn't about people in crisis who feel they've failed. This is about bringing communities together and helping people out in their hour of need.
And I think with Fan Supporting Food Banks, it's a national organisation now. We've got people right across the UK getting involved in it. You're going to see when you go to Belfast tomorrow with Paul. It's a symbol really what we try to do, which is pull people together in communities. We've got this today, which is a stick and plaster, which is helping people out in need now, giving them healthy, nutritious food. This was replicated across the city. But also we've got the Right to Food campaign as well, which is the political solution, which is what needs to happen, which is enshrining the right to food in law. And Fan Supporting Food Banks has been at the heart of this. And Dave said a few years ago, it's 9 years now. 2015, we started this with a couple of wheelie bins. Me, myself, Dave and Robbie, and it's grew into what we've seen today. So we're extremely proud to have you here from the university and see what we try to do. And basically it's making sure that people who are struggling have got dignity when they come to places like this. It doesn't stigmatise poverty, it empowers people, it makes them feel better about themselves, and anybody can be in that position. And Dave's been in that position before, I've been in that position with my family. So it's hugely important to me and Dave that people who actually need a helping hand get a helping hand and don't get a foot on their head and drive them deeper into the abyss. This is a response to what Thatcher believed in about no such thing as community. Well, sorry Margaret, there is.
So welcome to St Vincent's in Liverpool, West Derby, which is a school for visually impaired young people and other needs. What we do is we research best practice for our young people to be involved in climate action and food poverty, and we look to where the jobs and the innovation are. As an independent school, we can trial things that nobody else can, and you know what? We walk the talk in thinking of those new ideas. Abian is one of our pupils. Abian, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, what I'm doing is I'm growing everything in there, and we're using it to help other pupils all around the world, and to teach other pupils how to grow things and how to understand climate action. And everything we grow, we help, or we make it. We help everybody all around the world. Did I start wrong?
No, that was absolutely perfect. Do you know what? You hear it as is, and it's happening here. Come and talk to us.
Well, food has gone through the roof, to be quite honest. And, you know, I mean, there was a thing, not just food, but the price of getting food. There was a thing on the news this morning about petrol prices going up 5 pence a litre in this year for no reason, and then the retailers are putting it up. That was on the news this morning, and that impacts on everything. That impacts on the prices in the shops. Food now, my wife's very good at not wasting any food. You know, she makes meals out of anything, and that's the way it's got to be now. Whereas people used to be able to go out and have a meal once a week out or twice a week out. Now you've got to make sure you've got the money to do it. I mean, I'm a pensioner, my wife's a pensioner, my son's handicapped, and you know, it's difficult making ends meet, and it really is. The food banks are excellent idea, but we shouldn't have to go on. We shouldn't have to depend on food banks. You know, I've worked all my life. I left school on the Friday and started work on the Monday. I've worked all my life, and I shouldn't have to depend on a food bank to feed me. You know, that's wrong. You know, in other cultures, you look after your elderly. You know, I mean, I was 70 last year. My wife's slightly older than me, but we shouldn't have to depend on food banks. That's not fair. It's not right. You know.
I wanted to share my experience of initiating breastfeeding with my second baby during a COVID lockdown. It was an incredibly stressful situation at the time, and of course all contact with my family was pretty much on WhatsApp. So I decided to have a look through the conversations from the time to see if there was anything particularly interesting. It was such a lonely experience not being able to show the baby off and really celebrate her. And here is just a snippet of what I had to say at the time to my sister on WhatsApp. It's really concerning how the maternity service has essentially shut down. Midwives and health visitors won't go near her. Doctor's appointments have only been over the phone, and I think that could lead to medical issues being overlooked, which could be really serious for some babies. I think postnatal depression cases could increase through all this and also go undetected until they're more serious than they otherwise would have been. It's at best really sad to miss out on a lot of the joy associated with a newborn, and at worst could have really detrimental effects to mothers and babies. Allegra wasn't at birth weight at day 10, and I wouldn't have had face-to-face breastfeeding support if I'd needed it. I probably would have been pushed towards bottle feeding. Thankfully, Allegra has ultimately been okay with weight gain, etc., but I hate to think how they would have dealt with this if we needed any kind of support or intervention. I think you can hear the stress and tension in my words there, and it really was a horrible time. I was really fortunate that I had an older child who I'd successfully breastfed, so it wasn't too much of an issue for me. But for so many new first-time mums out there, to have no support with such an important health intervention as breastfeeding could have really long-term consequences for the children, and that's such a shame. I really hope nothing like this ever happens again.
To buy food over there is so much money. It's just so expensive. There's nothing for the youth over here, so they get depressed. Depression brings on illness and stress. You know, it's this. Look, for instance, in this little area, you've got a paddy power there, and you've got something there. It's designed to keep you down. You've got a paddy there. You've got three actually. You've got the paddy there. You've got Jennings over there. It's designed to keep you down. It's very mentally straining, and the youth grow up in this, and they think we ain't got a hope. No hope, no bubble. We ain't got a hope, you know.
And what about food in places like this?
I don't shop around here. I go all the way to Lewisham actually.
Yeah.
You know, because the food around here is just like fast junk. It's just junk food. So the nutrients that you're meant to be getting, you're not getting, and it leads to people drinking and stuff like that. Someone's got to do something about it very urgently, because I find it up here very depressing. Back in my days, we used to have youth programs and youth centres where you could socialise and you could gather. You go on a computer course in there, and you can get, if you're going through any problems, you can speak to someone who would help you and guide you in the right direction. Now there's nothing like this around. I just look pure clothes shops. So people are just depressed. We've been around here so depressed. There's no focus for the youth. There's no focus for even the elders, and the youth look up to they watch what the elders are doing. And if the elders ain't doing nothing, then the youth think the same thing. And someone needs to do something about it. All these adverts, just eat, don't cook. A lot of them don't even know how to cook. That's our basic thing. Don't cook, just eat. That's another government ploy. So they're taking away even the basic necessities, of the basic skills of learning how to cook a decent meal, a good meal with nutrients, how to do it. They've taken that away from them. They think, oh, the fast thing.
Did your mum teach you?
Oh, I learned to cook from when I was about. I'm 58. I'm born 66. I'm old school. Back in the day, things were a lot different. Like now, they don't cook, just eat. So they've taken away everything. So you rely on the system, and that's how the system wants you to stay. It's designed to keep you down. So you're getting messed up even down to the basic needs of knowing how to cook. We need a change. We need people to help us. Well, to help this community. So that is a very good question. Where would one start? Basic education, basic support.
Social support.
Yeah, social support. Knowing that you can go somewhere. Like I said, there's the bridge there. That's the only place around here. Yeah. You know, they're overwhelmed. Around here, they've left around here to the dogs.
I moved to London in 2008. Within a week, I was homeless. It wasn't because I didn't have money. It was more, I came over with an Australian bank account that I could only get out sort of something like 30 to 40 quid a day. I wandered the streets of Ealing looking for somewhere that I could stay, but 40 quid doesn't get you anywhere. So I ended up having to sleep behind a skip. That night it snowed, which was pretty horrendous. All my stuff got kind of destroyed. And that was the night that I kind of realized, if you're not prepared and you come to a different country, or even if you are prepared, if you slip through that gap, it can be a very, very cold place. And I remember going and trying to speak to people, to ask them something, and they would just walk past me. They just think, oh, he's going to ask me for money. They just made an assumption about who I was. I started getting into working with the homeless and people who have food insecurity because I was made homeless. So I used to have to eat at soup kitchens, particularly at Ealing Soup Kitchen. And I started volunteering there to teach art. When I worked in the soup kitchen, during COVID, I would often see queues 200, 250 strong. And you would think that they would all be homeless, but they weren't. It was people who were on furlough, and it was elderly folk, and it was people with families and refugees intermixed with people who hadn't showered for 6 months and people who were entrenched homeless. I think COVID really showed that the problem was much bigger than anyone really thought. We didn't realize that it's the working poor, and we didn't realize that people that have jobs are still just as in trouble as everybody else. So I used to paint their portraits for their birthdays. It was a great way of being able to get to know them a bit more and actually to find help and solutions for them, to build trust, because it's quite hard to build trust in a community where lots of people make promises and they're hardly ever kept. And one of the things I think I discovered when I got to know a lot of them was that the deepest problem with homelessness is not necessarily food, it's loneliness. So you feel so isolated and so removed from society that loneliness then just kind of breeds this real distance from you and everybody else. And as a result of that, they become entrenched, and then when people who really care want to come and speak to them, they've already told themselves, I don't need your help, I'm okay because I don't deserve this, I don't deserve to live. If you can break that barrier down early and show them that they are loved and show them that they are cared for and that they are an amazing, lovely human being, then that helps them to see, actually I am worth something and I want to fight for my place in society. So one of the things I always say to people is the first thing that you can do as an individual is you can just smile and talk to them. It's very easy to just walk past them and not smile and not stop and not say hello. But if you did stop and you did say hello and you did say, hi, I'm Andrew, what would that really cost you? And if everyone started doing that, I think that then a lot of people would be much more open to the services that are available to them, because they would start to feel like they're not invisible and they are worth something and they're worth feeding. And they're worth clothing, and they're worth getting back into housing, and they're worth rehabilitating back into the life that they had. Like, they're absolutely worth that. They're amazing, wonderful people.
Okay, so here we are, the last day of the World Public Health Nutrition Congress, June 13th, 2024. What a whirlwind it's been. We have had 660 delegates from 66 countries here in Marylebone campus of the University of Westminster, but we've had candidates around the world sending in their voices. It's been amazing. You can see all the voices that came out of our community dinner done by our team, our student team from the QHT. And the voices were saying things such as, listen to the voices, we need to listen more. We need to encourage young people to the table. They really enjoyed the fact that we had young people invited. The mayor from Peacehaven talked about having a youth mayor, so that was really great. Somebody else talked about having a much more listening environment for a Congress. A couple of people said that they have never had such a powerful time. Somebody else said in their comments that they felt challenged, and I think that's good too. One of our colleagues brought up the right to food, and we've had sessions on health and food should not be used as weapons of war. We're going to put out a statement on that. We're going to try and harness all of the voices. If you're not here, if you're watching from abroad, if you're one of the ones who've joined virtually, don't worry, bring in your voices to us. We're still Alex is going to be collecting with film. This conversation goes on. So all I will say is lift your voices. Your voice matters. We need to increase the power of our communities, increase the voice of the people who don't have one, to help to disrupt the power of those who hold it over us. Thank you.
Well, our next focus is on the Community Voices activities that we've had during the Congress. And I want to invite, first of all, Alex Sutton up. She's the producer of the Community Voices film, and she's going to give you her impressions of that experience and perhaps make some recommendations about how to collect voices for common good so that you can use those voices to achieve positive outcomes.
I'm Alexandra Sutton, and I'm the director and producer of the Community Conversations film that's been happening and screening throughout the whole Congress. So a few remarks. So from making this film, I have listened to stories of food insecurity from all over the world. And what I've heard is that people aren't asking for freebies. They are asking for the structures to be set up that maintain their dignity, for job opportunities, and to access nutritious food. The right to food, as we all know, should be a human right worldwide. And so this film premiere wasn't just a screening, it was also a catalyst for conversation, which was amazing. So for all of you who managed to attend on the Sunday, thank you so much for coming. The purpose behind this film's creation was to provide a platform for the voices of those facing food insecurity. And the response was amazing. And you could see in the audience after the film ended that the raw vulnerability of the filmed experiences really resonated with everyone in the audience. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. This raw emotion resonated deeply and prompted thoughtful reflection, and the film acted as a springboard for our own community conversation at the end of the film. And we actually impromptu got a microphone and passed it around the room, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. But I'd like to also say that these films, although I produced them and made them, they're not mine. They belong to the individuals of the voices that they carry. Their stories serve as a stark reminder of the work that remains in ensuring everyone has the right to nutritious food. And these voices now need to be taken forward to ensure that the solutions are community-centred, appropriate, and also dignified.
Thank you so much, Alex. I think that's quite powerful, actually, to get her impressions from the other side of the camera. So now we have Regina Keith.
Wow, how do I follow that, hey? Well, first of all, thanks. Thanks for doing it. Alex has watched so many videos, and those of you who watched the 33 minutes, we were all crying. But can you imagine, as a young person, having to listen to those voices, and maybe it's not her lived experience till then, and then coming together and literally produced a film without support, and we all have been touched by it. The voices I'm gonna read you is the voices from those petals and from what people said to us in that. So basically somebody said, together we can actually make a better world. I thought that was a lovely rose. Our voices need to create a safe environment for voices. Breastfeeding needs a society. We need more faith, and we need to respect faith. We need more trust. We need more structure. Voice can lead to power if we use power with each other, power in our communities, and power within to help displace the forces of power over. There was a lot of comments about the right to nutritious food. So a lot of people said not just right to food, but nutritious food. I'm very glad that came out. It's always one of mine. Somebody said, thank you for challenging us. That was lovely to see. Use your voice. Call out conflict of interests. The WPHNA, join the WPHNA and unite. Use our voice, we can be powerful. I was very happy to see that. Question the solutions. Somebody said that they actually hadn't thought about question the solutions because it was evidence-based. So I think it was really good that a number of people, we did get them to question some of the solutions. Community voices don't come cheap and there's no funding. You need to go the extra mile. And so those are some of the ones. there's so many of them.
So I wonder if anyone's brave enough to actually stand up and maybe say what one impactful fact or action or recommendation that made a difference for them.
I'm working along with others on a revised new nutrition and public health module for the MSc students in public health at Brighton and Sussex Medical School. And I think I have a notebook full of ideas from this week. I've been here the whole week. And this is going to be a very, very different module from the one that we had originally, like completely. There's so many new things here that I did not think about. And we're going to nix so many of your ideas interventions, and a lot of the principles that were part of this week.
The voice of the community. This is very important. And started to work from here. We develop every year an event for Breastfeeding Week in Egypt. This initiation founded by me. And we start work without any funding, and then WHO and UNICEF and WFP become with us. We go everywhere in the governorate to, according to the logo of this year, and do a study, a day of knowledge for the healthcare professional. I add this year to invite mother and hear the voice of the mother in the problem. Thank you.
And I commit to stirring up some public health nutrition advocacy among my colleagues in Australia.
One of my biggest takeaways is that this field that we are entering into of public health nutrition is not apolitical, that we have to raise our voice, not only the voices that we have as students. It's a privilege to study here, but actually giving the microphone to those with lived experience and those that we will often be interacting with.
Some things that I will take away with me is the power of the voice, but also the power of the lived experience. As a working class single mother, once homeless, I understand the issues of food poverty. But I always teach my students is to take a walk in the shoes of other people, as Regina also encourages. And one powerful thing I learned at this conference, I was in the session around lived experiences of refugees, and to actually understand from their perspective, there are so many displaced people in the world at the moment. One thing I took away was that they're not only a liability, they actually have strengths or resources. They have value, and we should perhaps acknowledge that value as well.
I commit that I will use the power within, and I repeat, my power within, to accelerate the power of and working with WPHNC. I will use my power within to actually give power to those who need it the most, and I will use the power within to power over who are not contributing to a healthy and a sustainable world.
Now I am convinced that we need to contribute to the social movements, to the collectivities like these, and by our platforms to be the real impact on the right to food and on the development of the changes on nutritional policies.
From this Congress, I will be like the voice of the community and community conversation as well. As Regina student, I learned a lot regarding the policy. I'm not surprised here regarding the policy or food security, but I believe in voice. If we need to make a change, we have to start from the ground. So I will bring this with me in my future, and also to apply in my field and as the global health nutritionist. This is the important ground to make a change. Thank you.